if y'all are so stupid you would put Simple Simon to shame. I want you to ask yourself, why are you so incredibly triggered by the fact that someone can have a bag of chips or a cookie? Why does that bother you so? Because let me ask you a question. People often get mad that people who get EBT benefits buy snack foods or they buy cookies or whatever, but then y'all turn around and get mad that they buy steak and shrimp. Like, do you want them to eat oatmeal and bologna sandwiches? Like, where does the line, like, where is the line drawn? Y'all get on my nerves. Y'all don't want children to have birthday cakes. Y'all don't want children to have treats. Most people on EBT are not going to the store buying a plethora of junk or snacks. They are getting food to sustain themselves.
Lies. All lies.
I don't know why y'all are so triggered by this and y'all are celebrating it. It starts with food. It always starts with food. First, they're regulating and telling us what we can and cannot eat. And then it gets worse. But y'all are too stupid to realize it's not about the food. It's never about the food. It is about control.
It's about the children. That's what it's supposed to be. The whole program is not supposed to be some government benefit, which, again, I don't know why we got to continue to remind y'all of this, but this comes out of taxpayer money, meaning that we go to work, we produce, we create businesses, we grind, we hustle, we scratch, we claw, we do anything that we can in order to be able to feed our families, sustain ourselves, and be contributing members of society, so that we now are required to feed into this fund that the government then manages so that they can then spend it on you guys so that you can do whatever it is that you want because you were irresponsible in making sure that you was careful about who it is that you had children with, and then you had another child, and then you had another child irresponsibly, and then now it became our responsibility to make sure that that child is paid for. I don't know about y'all, but I was always taught that if I have dominion over you, or I have the responsibility to feed you, then I also have the responsibility or the dominion to be able to determine what goes in your mouth. Now, I know that that's just unrealistic and that's not a thing when it comes to you having EBT and food stamp cards, but for far too long, billions, maybe even trillions of dollars have been spent on welfare, food stamps, and social services for people that sell their food stamps, for people that be out here giving away their stuff so that they can go out here and buy cookies and trash, and it's not going to be nourishing or sustainable for the child. It then creates a child that becomes dependent on the system in order for them to survive because now they got health problems. It's one big pyramid of bad decisions that is ultimately falling on the shoulders of taxpayers. That's why people are concerned, is because they want to know that their monies, that their taxpayer monies are actually going to things that are meaningful, helpful, fruitful, and then ultimately that you don't stay on it for a long time. That's the biggest issue. It's not even about control. Don't nobody care about control. Listen, we want you to have all the control in the world over your children and what happens in your household by removing yourself from taking government benefits and food stamps. Again, and I'm going to keep on emphasizing this and I'm going to keep on saying it, from monies that come out of our pocket. And then the worst part about it is they want to tax people, want to tax people that are super productive even more money so that you can have more children out of wedlock. The requirement for you to get it is crazy. Women are committing food stamp fraud. Welfare, social services, and let's be clear, this isn't a black issue. This isn't a white issue. I've seen Asian people take advantage of the system, so much so to where they were using it in order to fund their businesses because they didn't have any real W-2s, because they didn't have a real job. And so they would use the money and take it and go to the store so that they can buy things that they would ultimately use to sell back to the people in the form of their restaurant or at their restaurant and stuff like that. So the finesse, the fraud, waste, and abuse, the system that we're supposed to be honest about, the honor system, is not a system that was supposed to be sustained by taking money from people so that you can buy whatever garbage that you want. Yes, it is about control to an extent. I want to control where my money is going. I want to control where my money is going, who is going to, because that money could be used for something that's more productive if the only thing that you're going to do is buy luxury items with it. That's like you saying, hey man, I want to make sure that I contribute into the system so that we can have public transportation. but everybody got to be riding in the Benz. Or everybody gets to get a sports car, matter of fact. Nope, we're not doing buses, we're doing sports cars. Everybody get their own personal sports car. It's about control. Nope, we're not going to use that excuse. We're not going to let people get away with that. We're not going to let y'all finesse us and try to act like, oh man, we the bad guy because you taking advantage of welfare and food stamps to feed children that you don't have the capacity to feed. And instead of you being thankful and saying, you know what, I appreciate anything that I get. Yo, have you ever seen somebody that is genuine? And I know that we've all seen, most of us has probably seen somebody that genuinely were in need. And for me personally, I've seen it in the form of food pantries. I've done a lot of volunteer work in my younger age. I've talked to you guys about this a lot, even on the Millionaire Morning Show, about how I've done a lot of volunteer work with homelessness. For over a year straight, I did volunteer work where I would volunteer to, even outside of the holiday seasons and stuff, to go and work with homeless people. And so that's when I learned the face of real homelessness, right? And I don't know if, because when you do this, you see the same people over and over again most of the time. And so if you see a person that comes in for the first time, a lot of times they timid, they're a little scared, they're a little embarrassed. And so you try to work with them to make sure that they feel comfortable and understand that, listen, I know that circumstances, and you don't have to necessarily tell your story, but the fact that you hear shows that your circumstances are a little bit dire, and I don't want you to continue to be here, but let me make sure you feel human. And you couldn't imagine the level of joy and the relief that falls on their shoulders, or the emotion of, the first time that it happens. But for a lot of the people that's been doing it for years and they come to the same, a lot of times they get belligerent. I've done events, this is the honest to God truth, that I've done events where, you giving away coats, free food, or whatever like that, so on and so forth, and the people will get picky. Man, I don't want that. I want that over here. Hey, man, why you ain't give me that? I want it like this. And they start to feel entitled. They start to get belligerent. They start to have an expectation. They feel like they deserve it somehow. And over time, people develop a level of animosity towards other people that then determine whether or not they should get it or not, or how much, or what the quality of it is. Whereas in the beginning, they were just thankful. And what you see happening, in my opinion, is people are getting belligerent and they're getting angry and they're starting to lash out at other people because people are starting to pull up their skirt and they say, hey, man, what you doing with my money? I want to know where my tax dollars is going. We got too much money flying out the door, fraud, waste, and abuse, Department of Government Efficiency, so on and so forth. And now people are feeling entitled. They don't want to be exposed. They don't want their cookies, they million cookies, to be taken away from them. They think that they have dominion to determine how well their kids we eat when they don't even have the capacity to feed the kid, let alone be responsible enough to give them what they need in order to be successful. Paying for everything that kid get. And that ain't even just social services. That's the schools. That's everything. Transportation, Medicaid, healthcare, free everything. And you got the nerve to be ugly and stupid talking about buying a kid a birthday cake. Buy it on your own dime when you get a job. The government and the welfare system and the food stamps is supposed to be a bridge for you to get to the next place. It's not supposed to be for you to be able to live a phenomenal life and be awesome. The level of entitlement in this country is just absolutely disgusting. But, me, that's just my opinion. Maybe you think something different. I always like to link back to the content creator, regardless of whether I agree with it or not. Somehow, some way, they always had these septum rings on their nose. I don't know where that came from. I don't know why all women seems to have that same thing on their nose, but I'm not going to judge. I'm not going to judge. Let me know what y'all think inside of the comments. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Also, Teach Henley, 40% off your first order, 20% off for life. I love you. I appreciate you. I'm going to holler at you later. Peace.